UIC. Freedom the people of need. Hell yeah. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. The one that free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we safe. UIC run the road long time. GLP and PMP I sell we out. Still I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. No force no coercion, me freedom in a step. No one fi rob we and kill we and feel them I go make it out. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. Yeah, real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon.
Good night, everyone, wherever you may be in Jamaica and the diaspora. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to another show. All right, this evening or this night, depending on where you are in the world, we are going to be doing something a little different today. We have on our show with us some members of the St. Mary Parish Youth Council, some youth leaders from the Parish of St. Mary. So, me being parish manager of St. Mary, I thought, why not start with the youth in my parish? So, before we get the others online, let me welcome Lion Rule the Jungle out here, Mr. Brother, again. Good to see you, JMH. Good to see you too, Gregory Reed. Welcome. All right, everyone, thank you for coming out. Now, before we bring the others in from backstage, for those persons who, for those persons who may need to know who I am, who maybe you're seeing me for the first time in their life, I am Chase Neal, General Secretary of the UIC and the Shadow Minister for Education and Human Development. The Shadow Ministry of Education and Human Development is the UIC ministry, shadow ministry that follows the present Ministry of Education and Youth, the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development. All right. So without further ado, I welcome our guests. We have with us the parish president of St. Mary Parish Youth Council, Christine Salmon, and also the president of the Retirement Rise Youth Development Club, Theodore Prendergast. All right, welcome, Gregory Reed. Um, all right, welcome, Miss Salmon. Thank you for joining our show. And Mr. Prendergast, welcome. All right, so you guys are youth leaders. I want you, no, briefly, starting with Madam President for the Parish Youth Council, tell us a little about yourself, and then Mr. Prendergast, we also ask you to tell the world a little about who you are. All right, Ms. Salmon, the mic is yours for now. Oh, Ms. Salmon, you're muted. Can you unmute your mic? All right. Until Miss Salmon can sort out her audio, or we go to you, Theodore. All right. So Theodore, tell us about yourself, please.
All right, just a clear mic check. Are you hearing me clearly?
Loud and clear.
Okay, all right, perfect. So, as our chair for this evening, as he said, my name is Theodore Prendergast. I hail from the beautiful parish of St. Mary, of course, and I am the president for the Retirement Rise Youth Development Program, which it was about for a while, but we just recently started to get into action. So, about myself, I am, as I said, the president for the Retirement Rise Youth Development Program. I am an enthusiast and I'm an advocate, of course, advocate for change for many different reasons. And I am an advocate for positivity also. I am hell bent on positivity. Um, I am a student at the University of Technology under pursuing my undergraduate degree in computer science. So there is a lot of things about Mr. Prendergast, but I'll just keep it short. So, activist for positivity, advocate for change, president for Retirement Rights Youth Development Program.
All right. Yes, Theodore. Question: what caused you to be involved in youth development and volunteering when it doesn't pay? It doesn't pay you, does it?
No, no, it doesn't. Trust me, it doesn't. But it comes from an era where there is passion and there is drive, right? And there is a lot of let us say there's a lot of dedication because as you say, it's not something that is being paid. So you're not going to get constant motivation. You wake up every day and say, all right, cool. It comes from deep within. It comes from a kind heart and it comes from a kindled soul. So what caused me to do it personally,
Mhm.
I grew up in an area that there is a not much fortunate souls out there. And I recognize from a tender age that there is a lot that I can do with the little that I have that can help someone else grow. And once you help someone, it helps you in return because you get a clean heart, you feel good in yourself, and you get a lot of assistance. It builds your network also as an individual. So it comes from deep within. It's an innate kind of thing, but I would say that the environmental factors assisted so as well. So knowing that you have persons that can help you and you can help someone, it puts a smile on your face at the end of the day. It better than money.
All right. Thank you for sharing that with us. I noticed that you mentioned networking, and during the course of the show, we will speak about how networking is good for and helps youth to develop. But before we go further, I'd like to big up some persons who have just joined us. Julia Francis, yes, big up the UIC. Big up yourself to Julia. Thank you for coming through. Lando, oh, Lando is giving you a boost there. Go Theodore.
Hey.
All right, I understand that Miss Campbell is on. So, Miss Campbell, can you join us? All right, until Miss Campbell comes on, Sheree Campbell is the vice president of the St. Mary Parish Youth Council, or having some. She seems to be having some difficulties. Miss Salmon, are you still on? Okay, Miss Salmon is back. Oh, it seems the women have some technical problems. Um, Sir Prendergast. So it seems that we will have to carry the show.
Yeah, it seems like a foolish show for real, man.
Yes. All right. So until they are able to join us, we move on. All right. So there is the thought. You see, there is a thought that youth don't have enough opportunities in Jamaica. Oh, the ladies are here.
Good
Well,
night.
Miss Campbell. All right. All right. So I'll ask you, since you're just coming on, giving you work to do. We have started somewhat. Theodore has introduced himself, and we were going to continue until you guys came on. So, could you tell Jamaica who you are?
Okay, so my name is Sheree Campbell. I am, of course, a resident of St. Mary. I am a 21-year-old student of the University of the West Indies. I study social work, and with studying social work, there comes a lot of passion for community work, for humanitarianism, and just being involved, making your mark in society. So I'd like to say, an advocate for youth development. I am most definitely a Christian, so everything that I do, I try to allow my spirituality to push through, I guess. And that's just a little bit about me.
All right, thank you, Sherry. Uh, I asked Theodore this question, and I'm going to
Mhm.
pose it to you too. Why do you do this? Well, you mentioned being a Christian, but is there any other reason why you do this, although there's no money in it?
Well, I haven't always been, a part of community work, youth work, but since I could say, introduced to the whole community, I've met a lot of wonderful persons, and these persons have, imprinted on me in a way where I realized that life is so much more than working and making money or being popular or anything like that. It's being able to impact people and to empower people, and just to make your mark in any way that you can. And I've had experiences where I have been doing that, and it's so fulfilling. So I try to continue on that path.
All right, thank you. All right, so before we go any further, you guys are part of the St. Mary Parish Youth Council. What is the St. Mary Parish Youth Council? Who
Okay,
wants to take
so
that?
the St. Mary Parish Youth Council is a subdivision of the National Youth Council of Jamaica, and that's really a youth advocacy developmental group in Jamaica where youth are actually at the forefront, the front of it all, pushing through dealing with youth developmental programs, providing youth with different opportunities, right? And we engage a lot of youth clubs. We obviously branch out into different parishes, and through there we work with youth clubs, youth organizations, and youth themselves in order to help with youth development in a nutshell.
All right, great. All right, so in your work advocating for youth and working with youth clubs, both of you um, may have come across some issues that youth face. Uh, and we hear, well, I have heard from different youth around the parish in the island that nothing na go on for youth in Jamaica. And we see youth being engaged in some questionable activities and so
Mhm.
forth. But what I'll allow you to do now is speak from your experience as youth leaders and youth workers. What are some of these issues that you see um, on a day-to-day basis? All right, so
Okay.
I'll let Theodore go since you
Okay.
spoke last. All right, so Prendergast.
I was just about to say ladies first, but being that I was put on the forefront. All right. So let's say us human beings, we are troubled souls, right? And there is a lot of voices that needs to be heard, specifically the youth of today. There is a lot of problems that we need to address, moving from, but it all stems from their personal space where they grew up and the opportunities that are presented to them. So I would say every youth need a foundation. They need a foundation. Once they get the foundation and they get the understanding of what needs to be done, and followed by a start and a push, because you can get something, but you need to maintain it. How to maintain it is the next key thing. There's a lot of problems in our society right now, and it boils down to how they feel about certain situations, how they feel in certain situations. And most of the problems, like, it stems from the home. Some youths feel like they are not being heard in the home. So in order to make a scene, or show that they are there and they need attention, they create scenarios where they can be seen or heard. And once they do that now and they are seen or heard, they feel the need to maintain that. Whether it be good, some people do it for the good, some people do it for the bad. But there are a lot of problems that if I can't pinpoint one, but there are a lot of problems we need to fix so that the youths can feel comfortable in being positive.
All right, you want to add to that, Sheree?
Yes, most definitely. As Theodore said, there are issues that youth face within the home, and they face issues within their communities as well. I think a lot of it has to do with how they're socialized. So sometimes we may blame youth for being maybe lazy or wayward, but it's really how they were socialized, their community, persons that they see on a daily basis and who they think that they need to emulate. So I think it's important for us as, leaders within our communities to allow them to see it from a different perspective so that, they can want better for themselves and do better for themselves, grabbing the opportunities that are there for them to get.
All right. So, what I've heard you guys mention is one, youth don't have a strong foundation, so
Mhm.
they don't have a strong start. So, because they don't have a strong start, then they can fall prey to certain things. Some youth don't have the opportunity to be heard, and so they create the opportunity to be heard, and then we have also a falling out in the homes, in the home structure. All right. Can we, and when I say we, I'm speaking both from the point of view of the parish youth councils and Jamaica at large. Can we do anything about these issues to fix the problem facing our youth?
Should
All
I
right.
go first?
All right, go, Sheree.
Okay. Um, I do think that there is a lot that we can actually do. First off, platforms like these where we can actually bring the situations to light. I feel like we should continue on this path, allowing youth to actually speak their truth and express how they're feeling and what they're experiencing. But I'm a strong advocate for a lot of community work. I think it's one thing to set up different programs at schools to try to engage youth, but it's different to go into their communities, interact with their parents and their guardians, impact the persons that they are being impacted by. So I think that is an important aspect of it, doing some community work so that we can not just only engage youth, but engage their parents and those who are socializing them.
All right, great. Theodore, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I can say Miss Campbell said it perfectly. Perfect, 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 perfectly. I mean, the engaging youth from the school is completely different from engaging them at home. For instance, you can give a child a homework and they send them home, but
Mhm.
are they really going to do the homework?
Right.
Right? So you have to ensure that the homes are the safe space for the kids as well. You have to ensure that they know the good from the bad from the home. Them when them say you have to bend the tree from it young, but you have to start from the homes. You have to target the homes, and once you target the root of the problem, there and then it will grow the way how you want it to grow. Yeah, so
All right.
basically yes.
Oh, sorry. All right. So, both of you have identified the home really as the root of the problem. But I like to dig deep. right? Can we identify the root of the problem? Why are our homes so distorted? Um, is there any youth perspective on that?
Well, I would like to believe that it's the culture. Perhaps it's the culture within certain areas. Because if you go to certain schools, you'll note a certain type of behavior among students, among certain students, and usually you'll hear persons pinpoint that they're from this place or they're from that place. So it's not even necessarily their parents or whoever it is that's raising them, but it's just the environment that they're in. So that's how their parents were brought up, that's how their grandparents were brought up. That's the culture that exists. So it keeps on, breeding itself.
All right, so there are some comments in the comment section. Some questions are being asked, and one question is, what is the role of governance and the education system it imposes? If I'll allow you to answer if you can. If you have any thoughts on that, or can you see the comments?
I can, but I'm just not so clear on it.
All right, so that's okay. That's okay. Because we'll be going into that as the show progresses.
Okay.
And there's another question as to what shapes the parents, communities, and culture. All right. It seems Miss Salmon is having some problems with her internet, so we will proceed with just you both. Unfortunately, the president will not speak tonight. All right. So we have some refreshing insights, um, Jamaicans at home and abroad, from the young people here. When we see young people acting out, it is not fair, I would think, based on what was presented, to just think that these youth are out of line or out of order or hopeless. There is something behind it. So we need to find a way to reach out to our youth to find out what it is that really informs and causes their behavior and the feeling of hopelessness. All right. We see issues like scamming, issues like crime and violence, even this ensure thing that is taking over the place, and and we see it's all coming from somewhere, and lack of opportunity to be heard that was identified, the breakdown in the homes, and the lack of a suitable or strong foundation. All right, now I am going to ask you guys now to critique something. No, the UIC is a political movement. It is actually the third registered political party in Jamaica. But even more than a political movement, we are also a social action organization in that we try to impact society positively while we seek to get office in government to make some changes. Now we have some policies, some plans in place, and what I'm going to ask you to is give your own perspective on some of these plans. Now, the first we start with is the education plan. The UIC education plan called LEAP is built on 8 pillars, and the first pillar that I'm going to be speaking about is an Afrocentric curriculum that deals with 3 aspects: understanding self, understanding human behavior, and understanding money. Now, what we believe is that if we teach a curriculum that is based on Afro, true African history, not just slavery, because that's the only history of Africa that we know. It started slavery. But what about if we knew real African history, that surgery started with Africa, that the modern system of government started in Africa, while we learn about world history and we know how to understand ourselves, what makes a healthy mind, a healthy body, healthy emotions. We understand healthy human behavior, how to be emotionally intelligent, how to build relationships, whether family relationships, friend relationships, business relationships, and how to understand money. When we look at how to make money work for you instead of you working for money, financial skills. How do you think if this is taught from in school, how do you think this could impact society? Is this something that could work to make Jamaica better in your eyes?
Okay, so I really do believe so because those are issues that we as youth kind of try to address now. So it's like we're this pivoting thing where we're trying to learn things that we weren't actually taught when we were younger or taught in the traditional educational system. So these are actually really good, but as I'm listening, I'm wondering how would we or how would you allow teachers and those involved in the educational system to adapt to this or have a smooth ad- um, adapting process.
That's a good question. But there is no adaptation process that's very smooth when it comes to the education field. When we move from common entrance to GSAT and from GSAT to PEP, for example, teachers had to relearn. So it's just a means of reteaching. Oh, Theodore is gone. No, we work from the understanding that all these ills in society are caused by bad governance, and we don't point our fingers at any party in particular, but just the system of governance that we inherited from the British, where we concentrate power in the hands of a few persons and everybody else is powerless to do anything about it. And so we hear the saying that absolute power corrupts. Well, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, where the haves are able to do what they want and the have not suffer, where people don't have a say in who governs them, and those who govern take advantage of the situation and manage the economy poorly, so that we get poorer and poorer day by day, decade by decade. We believe then that through the education system, we can teach governance, we can teach financial education so that we can empower ourselves, so that we are more empowered to make wise political choices too. All right, Theodore has gone off, or is he in the background?
It
Are
seems
you
like
there, Sir Prendergast? All right, so we will continue until he can um join again. All right. So Sheree, one other aspect of our education plan is a youth employment program. How this works is that students who leave high school and who are not in a job and who are not studying, whether in college or university, would be placed in an apprenticeship program. So the effect of that is that there would be no idle youth on the streets. So you leave high school, you're not in tertiary education or not working, you are apprenticed to a number of fields. Um, you could be apprenticed to agriculture, to the medical field, to the military, to police, to paramedical, and so forth, to even manufacturing factory. And while you are apprenticed, you are learning and earning a stipend. Um, do you think that this can work to create a better Jamaica for our youth? What do you think of that policy proposal?
I really do agree with that one because I think there are youth that do want to pursue various fields or better themselves, but through the fear of student loans or just not having any other way to finance themselves through school, they just rely on mediocre jobs that they could do so much better, but because of the fears that they have and the different ills in our society, they tend to shy away from progressing. So I think opportunity like that would encourage, not just to propel them, but also to allow them to see that there are actually different institutions that are there to help them. It's not just the basic ones that we're used to. You leave high school, you get a loan if you can't afford school, and then you go to university, and then you're stuck with paying off that loan. But then you have an opportunity like this, instead of not finding a job, even if you're done with school and you have your degree. So if you're able to actually have this wonderful program, engage as much youth as possible, and then the youth are able to reap as much benefits from this and can testify to the good, then I think this is a really good one, and it could push youth in a good direction.
All right, thank you for your response to that. All right, so we have literally 3 minutes left. So, um, yes, so it was supposed to be 35 minutes. So, um, we're going to wrap up. Now, earlier, when you described the role of the Parish Youth Council, you said that the Parish Youth Council works with youth clubs, that's supporting and developing youth clubs,
Right.
and it also works as a voice for advocacy on behalf of youth. All right, so I'm going to create a scenario now. All right, over the years since 1944, when Jamaica started the two political parties, and we were given the ability to govern ourselves. Um, we have seen where succeeding politicians and administrations have failed at managing the country properly. All right, we see where politicians are involved in crime. Yes, they have been involved with the gun trade and creating garrisons and so forth. So, and that caused the criminal element, and it's a part of the hopelessness of society right now. We see where governments sell out many of our resources. There's here Jamaica, there's the bauxite plants and so forth, and they create artificial inflation by overprinting the money so that the dollar devalues and the cost of living rises. Do you think that youth advocacy groups can do anything to advocate for a better system of governance in light of the system that surrounds us?
I do believe so, because there is there's a thing that as social workers we observe. It's and being able to empower people, so it's moving from a state of powerlessness to having power, and you're finding that power within yourself. You're not relying on governmental systems or any other systems that are in control to give you the power, but you're finding the power within yourself. So I do believe that we can advocate for that, in a sense where we're allowing youth to know that they have potential, they can be anything that they want to be, and they can change the state, the climate that our country is in now. We are basically going to be taking the plate, we're taking the seat. So if we are able to change our mindset to not rely on traditional practices, but basically learn, re-socialize ourselves to understand how to properly govern, how to properly uh, just be one in this country, then we'd be able to per se have a better governmental structure.
All right, thank you for your time, Miss Campbell. It has been very enlightening, and we are glad to have heard from from the youth leaders themselves. All right, so I'm going to ask you to drop out for now. You can continue watching the show. I'll be responding to some comments in the chat box. All right,
Oh,
thank you for coming and all the best and good luck with your youth work. I wish you all all the blessings that you need to get your work done. All
thank you,
right.
and I wish
Uh,
the same for you.
yes. All right. So we are going to go through some of the comments in the chat room. What is the role of governance and the education system it imposes? All right, we know that the role of governance is to create an environment where we are safe, where we are secure, where we live in a clean and orderly place, and we are empowered. We see that that has not been the reality for over 70 years. And the education system does not create a way for people to think critically, for us to solve problems. It is a system where we get grades, it's a numbers game, and students leave school. Over 70% of students leave school not getting basic subjects and qualifications to get a good job. So the education system has been failing us in that because our students cannot get good jobs after they leave school, they are already economically depowered. They cannot get jobs, so they cannot get enough money, or they cannot get jobs that pay them enough to survive. So we see where the education system fails there. But not only does the education system fail in that it does not allow our students to get qualifications for work, but it does not teach our students to think critically. So they are not able to solve problems and get paid, because we know you are paid based on the number of problems or the extent of problems that you can solve. Now we know that this school system is really teaching students how to work for in a company or work for the government. The same government that has not created the situation, the environment for us to achieve. And so we have this hopelessness, this frustration that has been carrying on through the decades, and it now informs how we act, how we relate to each other, and how we try to self medicate. So there's no hope. What do? We fly out, or we scam, or we thief, because there are no jobs created for our youth. From long time no job for the youth till now when the youth become adults, there's still no jobs. And even for the jobs that exist, there nobody is qualified because the education system has failed us. And we have here an education plan that is geared to create succeeders. It is geared to create winners, to let our students understand exactly why they feel the way they feel, why we relate the way we relate, and how to better relate to others, how to better manage money. And we are able to create a situation where students leaving school will go into apprenticeship. Not no extra 2 years of school, which doesn't make any sense. The current plans and systems don't make any sense. We want a system where students finish the regular program and they are able to move on to their desired job. And if not, they want to find themselves, they choose from a range of different jobs, a range of different fields. And while they learn, they are able to earn. That gives our students more choices and set them up to be able to take advantage of the jobs that exist when they are finished. Or Sheree says thank you, and thank you too, Sheree, for coming on our program. And you conducted yourself very eloquently. That was great work. Now, another question in the chat: how educated are our youth on the political system and its failings, and are they exposed to better systems and solutions in order to advocate for change? Well, I think it's fair to say that not only our youth, but Jamaicans on a whole are not really educated about the political system. I always say we are very political, but we do not understand politics. So now we have the UIC, which aims to teach our fellow Jamaicans about how the system works so that we can empower you to make the choice that you need to make, that you are better able to make a choice. Now, we're not here to force anybody and say, vote UIC, yeah, you must vote UIC. But if you're going to vote UIC, you must know why you vote UIC. And if you choose to vote for the colonial system, whether JLP or PNP, which is really both sides of the same coin, you know why you have voted JLP or PNP. All right, so we look now to our youth, the future generation, to advocate for better governance. We see where governance has failed us. We ask the youth and the older generation who are open minded to advocate, to become the voice of the people and demand a better system of governance. Thank you for joining us tonight. Wayan Richards, thank you for coming on air and listening. I declare that the next president of Jamaica is Joseph Patterson's. Yes, speak it into being, speak it into being. Yes, we do declare that the next president, the first president of Jamaica, will be Joseph Patterson. All right, everyone, this brings us to the end of our broadcast. Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, and make it a better Jamaica. And though we will allow you your choice, vote UIC. All right, see you guys.